Good evening. My name is Zygmunt from RiverCruiseCenter, and I want to thank everyone for joining on this beautiful evening. Welcome very much, and thank you for spending your time with us. With me, actually 100 miles away, is Richard from AMA Waterways, who is an expert on river cruising in Portugal and Spain, and he's going to take over today the entire webinar.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Zygmunt, for this time with your valued clients, and thank you everybody for joining in. Today, we're going to be exploring the Douro River, one of Europe's many famed rivers and one of two major rivers on the Iberian Peninsula. From its source in north-central Spain, as you can see on the map here, it's carved its way westward to northern Portugal for approximately 560 miles to its outlet at the city of Porto that we see right here, where it then washes away into the Atlantic Ocean. So you can see all the different places that we're going to be stopping at here. We've got two different itineraries operating on the Douro, one that operates round trip from Porto, and then the one that we're looking at right here, which operates between Spain and Portugal. So I thought I would go through one of the examples today for Spain and Portugal. It's our favors of Spain and Portugal. And I thought I'd also include the pre and post extension options here as well. Every one of our cruises that we sail on always will include a pre or post option for you. What's really nice about these is that your cruise manager, the person who's going to be with you on board the ship, will actually be joining you before the cruise and after the cruise. So it's nice because you can sort of build that rapport and before you've even stepped on board the ship. But I would say more importantly, they're there to just, kind of guide you, lead you on some different excursions along the way. They may even, just to make some good recommendations and suggestions too. So let's get going on this particular one and start to move in just a little bit more. So flavors of Portugal and Spain that I just mentioned right now. This is, one of Lisbon actually is where we're actually going to start for this particular one, but just Portugal in general. I mean, a lot of history that we include here. Birthed many of the famous explorers, as we know. Prince Henry, his expeditions mapped much of the coast of Western Africa and established some new trade routes. Vasco da Gama, that I know we all recall from our elementary school days, known for being the first to sail from Europe to India around the Cape of Good Hope. Ferdinand Magellan, who, while he was Portuguese, it was actually King Charles of Spain who actually funded his expeditions. And of course, he went out to explore the Spice Islands of Indonesia. He made a stop also along the way in South America. So known for some of their famous explorers. I mean, there was a time when the Portuguese actually had a foothold on places around the globe, from Brazil, places in Africa, and a number of parts of Asia. So certainly known for that. So we're going to experience a lot of that. What's nice with all these AMA Waterways departures, not only for the cruise portion, but anytime we're transferring you from one location to another, maybe it's to pick up a shore excursion. Certainly when you're on it, your shore excursion, you're going to have all of your expert guides with you along the way. They're going to be sharing things about the history, the culture, the food, and making some recommendations for some different places, because we're going to allow you some free time at all these different stops as well. Pre-cruise extension in Lisbon is an option for 3 nights. So you'd arrive there the first day. Day 2 is actually when we start offering some of those excursions. City 7 Hills tour, Sinatra excursion with a Pena Palace visit, motor coach transfer to Porto, and then a Tomar Castle visit. But this is one of Europe's oldest cities, even predating Rome and London. And of course, it's Portugal's capital city. Some things to do here: you can climb the castle of São Jorge and stroll through Alfama. And anyone coming to Lisbon and not going to the castle of São Jorge would surely be missing a really unforgettable moment. It's the highest point in the city, set amongst the most typical of some of the neighborhoods that you would expect to see in this part of Lisbon. A unique opportunity really just to kind of feel and understand the city's relationship with just the local river. It's actually located on the River Tagus. And fado music. If you haven't heard of fado music, this is a place that you could take this and also enjoy it maybe by some, over dinner, some candlelight. But this is a form of Portuguese singing that's often associated with pubs and cafes and restaurants. You'll find this all over town. This music genre officially originated there in about the 1820s and Though it's thought to have much earlier origins, it's really known for how expressive and how profoundly melancholic it actually is. So take some time to go out and explore. Again, in addition to the excursions that we're going to be offering, you are going to be having some free time along the way. But I like to remind all of our guests that with everything that we put in place, we're really thoughtful to maximize the amount of time at any stop along the way, so you can take in all the highlights and then allow you some free time. So that can mean if it's a really big city with a lot to see, we're going to spend the full day there. If it's a smaller town that still has some really nice highlights, we're going to allow enough time for that and then give you a little free time. And then we're going to go ahead and push on to our next port of call. City of Seven Hills tour. The Romans named, showcasing the city of many highlights, such as Alfama, one of Lisbon's oldest areas. So this area is lined with a lot of shops selling a lot of the traditional crafts and a number of cafes in this area also. You can also take the number 28 tram up to the top Castle St. George, which I believe we have. I thought we had that on one of these slides here. Actually, it's another image that we had closer, but this is Castle George that we see up at the top here with fortifications dating back to the 6th century. It was under a variety of number of different rulers, including that of the Romans, the Visigoths, the Moors, before Portugal's King Alfonso Enriquez captured it in 1147 with help of Northern Europe's crusaders on their way down to the Holy Land. So again, a number of these crusades, a number of these folks were passing through this area at this time. Day 3, another excursion option that we include here is the Palace of Sintra. So the Royal Sintra excursion, also called Town Palace. It's located in the town of Sintra in the Lisbon district of Portugal. It's a present-day historic house museum. So we have an opportunity to visit this place as well. Another stop that we'll include here on the same day is actually the Pina Palace. So as part of that same excursion, so enjoy a morning excursion to Sierra de Sintra. This is one of the most picturesque mountain villages in Portugal. It's a former summer resident of the Portuguese royal family and a source of inspiration for Lord Byron and generations of other artists and poets. Your guided tour includes a visit to this location here, this beautiful fairy tale castle. We're going to allow you some free time to kind of explore the grounds on your own also. And then we'll actually board the ship in Porto. So embarkation of Porto, we'll check out of our hotel that day and take the motor coach ride over to through the Portuguese countryside. We'll stop in the town of Tomar and visit the castle of the Knights Templar, the walls of which envelop the elaborate convent of Christ, a UNESCO World Heritage Site from the 12th century. And this boasts spectacular frescoes and azuelos. These are those iconic blue painted tiles, if you've seen those. And then afterwards, we'll continue on to Porto, where we'll board our ship for that day to then depart. But actually, we're going to be overnighting one night there in Porto. One of the things that we'll be enjoying on the next day, we're actually now at day 5, is the City of Bridges tour. This is actually the only city, by the way, they're known as the City of Bridges because they're the only city in all of Europe, aside from the town, of course, that is across the Douro River for them, with 6 bridges in town. And this particular bridge that we're looking at here is the Maria Pia Bridge. This was actually designed by Gustave Eiffel in 1877. So today we'll be joining a guided tour of Porto's historic quarter, UNESCO World Heritage Site. A number of the places that we stop at are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. We'll see the cathedral, one of the city's oldest monuments, the main square. This area is going to have, again, a lot of shops and cafes just to kind of go out and explore. There's a São Bento railway station. This place is known for its blue and white tile panels depicting scenes from Portuguese history, so certainly worth a stop there. And then we'll have a tasting of Portugal's most renowned contribution to the world of wine, of course. And then we will make our way back to the ship for that evening. We're also going to be including a Porto wine tasting. So the Douro Valley, if you guys don't know, this is famous for the variety of port wines, different from all the other places, of course, that we're going to be experiencing wines throughout Europe. This is unique to Portugal. These are fortified wines in which a distilled spirit, usually brandy, has been added. And it's typically a red wine, higher in alcohol content than the unfortified wines, and it's sweet. And the sweetness is primarily caused by the addition of distilled grape spirits to fortify the wine and halt the fermentation before all the sugar is actually converted into alcohol. So this, of course, results in a wine that's a little bit higher, normally like 19 to 20% in alcohol content. We'll be enjoying a number of different port wines along the way, regional to those specific areas, as we do in any one of our other AMA Waterways cruise, where we always take in some local wines for the area. We'll be serving some of these local wines on board as well with the different meals, and of course, some of the local flavors in the different towns that we're passing through. We then will make our way over to Entre Los Rios. We're going to actually have lunch at the local quinta. So this actually translates to between the rivers. And this small village, quite appropriately located at the confluence of the Tamega and the Douro rivers. For an authentic slice of Douro River life, we'll enjoy a traditional home-cooked meal at a local quinta. So the quintas are little known outside of Portugal, and these are really these sort of rarest treasures of quote-unquote quality living in the country. Historically, the quintas were family-owned estates. These farm homes surrounded by large plots of land with rich in nutrients, intended for both the economic sustenance and family consumption, of course. But more often than not, these great estates were wine producing. The quinta classification of port vineyards in the Douro exists to this day as a system that grades the quality potential of the vineyards there. And these farms were let out for rent on 1/5 of its produce. So that's actually how they came up with the name La Quinta. We'll then continue on our journey here and make our way over to Regua, Portugal. We're now at day 7 of our trip. So we'll begin with a tour of the 18th century Palacio Anadia, or Palace of the Counts, known for its beautiful interior and Baroque style. Inside the house, you'll see some intricate panels of blue and white tiles again that we were talking about. Bolas de Berlim, or Portuguese donuts. We'll get to experience these also. These are they're sliced in half and filled with sweet, creamy egg-based custard, kind of fluffy on the exterior and thick and creamy on the interior. These donuts are typically rolled in granulated sugar before being filled with custard. So again, just one of the things that we actually get to taste in the flavors of Spain and Portugal here. Lamego with Bolas tasting. So then we'll venture to the town of Lamego, where you'll see the Sanctuary of Our Lady of Remedies that we see up here at the very top of this particular image. The city tour will climb 686 steps if you've got the endurance to do so up this holy staircase. Beautifully decorated with white and blue tiles again, which you'll see throughout the entire town. Of course, Portugal is known for this. To the top with this guided hiking tour. Whichever excursion you choose, it will conclude with the tasting of some local specialties, such as bolas that we talked about at Lamego, bread filled with smoked ham, presunto, a type of dry cured ham, and espumante. It's a Portuguese sparkling wine. Later in the day, we'll then continue cruising on the Douro River over to Pinhão, Portugal, where we're going to do another wine tasting there. But here's another shot just as you make your way at the top of those staircases that we were looking at. Certainly worth the climb, certainly worth the views. We're then looking out onto the town for some great photo opportunities here. Another opportunity we have is to take you to Mateus Palace, or Costa de Mateus. This dates back to 1739. Constructed in 3 primary buildings that you can kind of see right here, which are the manor, the winery, and the chapel. Then once again, we'll have some free time after the tour. You can take in some time to kind of explore the gardens around here and get lost. And then on day 8, actually now, we're already out to day 8. So from Regua, we're going to make our way over to the town of Pinhão. We're going to include a number of different optionals here, another La Quinta wine tasting, Pinhão train station hike, the Quinta de Avaceda lunch, and then some free time in the evening for our guests. This slide that's coming up right here, this is actually the Pinhão train station. Certainly worth a visit up here. We're going to include a stop here as well. Now we're already on day 9 because we're going to be overnighting there. And then we have Quinta de Avaceda lunch. It's an interactive museum. One of our stops that we're going to be including here, we get to understand a little bit more about the history and the culture of wine in the Alto Douro region, which differs right through all these different regions. We're going to have a number of different wine varietals. One thing that's unique about the Douro River also that's very different from a number of the other rivers that we sail in Europe is that while we do go through some of the locks, it's a long river, but it's still not as many locks that we're going to be going through. There's a total of 5 locks that we'll be going through on the Douro River from start to finish, compared to some other ones like the Danube, for example, which has about 10. It's much more intimate. A lot of the towns that we're stopping at along the way on this river are not going to be like the big towns that we would pull into on the Danube, say like Budapest or Vienna, or if we're on the Rhine, pulling into Cologne or Strasbourg. These are going to be much smaller towns and villages. And many times we're going to dock in one of these small towns. You can have some free time to walk around, but most of our excursions are going to be a little bit further into the countryside here. So again, kind of going back to that then, one of the things we're going to include, again, this history of wine culture. It's going to show all the different stages of the wine production, from planting the vine to the wine making process, and finally to the nectar tasting and wine labeling. This particular museum is actually the first of its kind in the country, as it has multimedia, audio-visual visual systems as well, together with some different ethnographic representations. We'll then move on and make our way over to Barca de Alva. Venture to Castelo Rodrigo, which I'll show you also in the next slide. This area is known as the White Village because of its almond trees. The site offers spectacular views of the surrounding area. Wonderful walking tour through the medieval streets. It's a wonderful medieval town. Establishments dating back to the 16th century. If you prefer a more active adventure there, of course, you can hike up to the town. At the end of all tours that we're offering there, there's a tasting of some of the local favorites, such as the almonds, cheese bread, and wine also. And then later in the day, we'll continue cruising along the Douro. But this is that Castelo Rodrigo that I mentioned also, where you can take a nice little hike up here. It's just up from the city. It's not a strenuous hike at all. We'll have some free time, and then we'll continue our cruising down the Douro. We're going to finally make our way into Vega de Toron in Spain. So we've now gone all the way, again, if we're starting at the very beginning of this trip from Lisbon, making our way to Portugal, down the Douro River, we're now making our way into Spain. This is where we would officially disembark at this time. Some free time that we're going to allow here also. But then, as I mentioned, with every trip, we also offer some pre and post extensions. Salamanca, as we make our way to Madrid, actually, this is going to be a day trip after we disembark the ship there and make our way over to Madrid. We're going to have a full day excursion included here in Salamanca. We're going to include the transfers, of course, check into the hotel a little bit later this evening. This town, rich in history, founded in 1218, has one of the oldest universities in Spain and the third oldest Western university. So plenty of time to go around exploring here. And then, again, we're going to make our way into Spain, where that evening we're going to have some free time on our own. But one of the things that we're going to include also is a guided tour of Madrid, Spain's capital, of course, since the Spanish Golden Age, and now its largest city. Place with broad avenues, grand museums, stately gardens, and lively tapas bars, as we know. Known for its historic arts district, art, music, Epicurean delights. Of course, I think every trip, again, which is why this is called Flavors of Portugal and Spain, and this really applies to the majority of all our trips. The local cuisine, the local culture, the local history, just the local happenings and things that are going on, places where the locals want to go and hang out. These are all the things that we thoughtfully look to incorporate into every package that we put together. I was talking before about the timing. We want to make sure that we can maximize that so guests don't feel as though they're rushed. What I didn't mention before too is that every stop along the way, and you can see it noted in some of the different slides, we're going to include between 4 and 5 shore excursions at every port of call. So we're going to give our guests an option. We're not going to give you that one complimentary city tour and then charge you for something more or different that you'd actually prefer to do. We're going to give you an option for what you want to do. On board the ship, I know we've been talking a little bit more about the different stops, but on board the ships, some amazing cuisine, award-winning cuisine. I would add to that 2 wonderful restaurants to dine at. In addition to our main dining room, we have our Chef's Table restaurant, which is this wonderful 6-course meal with up to 4 wine pairings, a chef presentation where you can see him and his team preparing the meals. So really unique opportunities that really look to distinguish AMA Waterways from a number of our peers in the industry. So I just want to make sure I covered that while I was had been focusing quite a bit on the land portion here. But we're going to get some good time in Madrid, Spain. Again, some time to go around and explore a bit. It's a vibrant city. Just taking all the sites here, the Royal Palace, Retiro Park, Puerto del Sol, Mercado de San Miguel, and the Plaza Mayor also. Royal Palace, official palace of the Spanish and royal family. Plaza Mayor in the heart of Madrid was once the center of old Madrid. Just a great place to kind of go out and explore and do some shopping and eating and sightseeing there. And then to end, we actually have an excursion over to Toledo. So you can journey all the way over to this walled city with us, another UNESCO World Heritage Site, ancient capital of Spain. City's a treasure trove of artistic riches, with its winding streets, well-preserved medieval architecture. And as part of the escorted tour, you'll also visit the Cathedral of Toledo, as well as the Synagogue of Santa Maria la Blanca in the Jewish quarter. This would basically conclude our tour. After that day excursion over to Toledo, we'll make our way back to Madrid, where we basically end our trip. And then based on your stay, if you're going to be staying a little bit longer, of course, you would depart back to the States. I know that was really just a bit of a slideshow with a few quick highlights and some tidbits of information, but just another amazing journey that we offer with AMA Waterways. This one was actually so popular that just a couple of years ago, we added a second ship. We just built a second ship, the AMA Duoro, this beautiful ship that we see here up on the top left, adding it to our fleet in 2019. It's got a capacity of 102 guests. And this now complements the AMA Vida, which has been sailing up there for a period of time. The AMA Vida was actually built in 2013. Again, this is a pretty popular itinerary. I would say that if anyone is interested in booking this trip, you definitely want to start booking this at least 12 months, even up to 15 months in advance, because it does fill up all the time. Just a little bit of the onboard amenities that we offer on board. Something again that is unique to AMA Waterways. So if you're looking to compare, with some of the other cruise lines out there, keep a few of these things in mind. Every one of our ships has either a jacuzzi on board or a swimming pool on board, and our AMA Magna, our newest ship, actually has a swimming pool and a jacuzzi on board. So those are some things that are unique to us. Majority of our ships, not every single one of them, majority of our ships will have twin balcony staterooms. It's a little bit similar to what we see right here, where this is the balcony that they can fully step out, and off to the right, it's not a French balcony, but it's got that nice window pressed all up against the edge. This look up here in the top left here is a look at the lounge area. We get some wonderful seating. It's kind of the living room of the ship where everybody can go, gather, socialize, meet some of the other guests. It's that place where the cruise manager is going to be giving some updates on the next day's ports of call, what those shore excursions are going to be. In the evening, it turns into a full-blown disco. The bar that we see there is included as well, too. So one of the funnest places on the ship for some scenery, sightseeing, and just to kind of go and meet some of the other guests on board. A promotion that I wanted to be sure to include right here also, and I got a few other things that I'll mention. We do have a Fly Free to Europe in 2021 promotion. Or there are some opportunities for some really great savings, even up to $1,000 per stateroom too. So check with Zygmunt if you have any interest in looking at the Douro River or any of our other rivers that we sail right now to see what the best offer is, whether it's going to be that savings or that Fly Free to Europe. In addition to that, we've always got some different things on select dates where you can receive some onboard credits, maybe some category upgrades where you book and pay a price for one, but then you get upgraded to the next category. And because you're looking at this presentation from Zygmunt, anybody that might be interested in booking something within the next 2 weeks would receive an additional $100 savings per person. Again, that's being offered because of Zygmunt and our relationship with him and his partnership with AMA Waterways.
Richard, I have a quick question.
Yes.
I understand that wines, premium wines and premium beers are also included free for lunch and dinner on these cruises, correct?
This is correct. So for every lunch, for every dinner, as Zygmunt mentioned, even if you want champagne, mimosas at breakfast, we'll include that. It's an open hour, it's an open bar, cocktail hour every evening before dinner also. So that's fully open. But then keep in mind, that keyword being premium that Zygmunt used also. We're going to include premium wines and beers. We're not going to serve you that house wine, again, that's complimentary, and then charge you for that more desirable drink. So that's something really important to note. And while we're not all inclusive, where we're not going to include the drinks after lunch up to cocktail hour or after dinner, I can tell you this, and I know that Zygmunt can attest to this, our servers are extremely generous. They're constantly topping off your whatever drink that you're drinking. And I always enjoy an after dinner drink. So Just before I leave the dinner table, I have them top it off one more time, go up to the lounge area, hang out, socialize with some other guests, and maybe enjoy some dinner or some music later that evening. But that's a good point to bring up also, Zygmunt.
I have another question.
Mhm.
For people who haven't joined us in previous webinars, this particular Spain Portugal has a lot of looks like different places to go up, higher or lower, etc. So AMA, as a result, in this area has slow walkers, medium walkers, and fast walkers tours, right?
This is correct. So again, with all those different tours that we're offering, 4, even up to 5 in some different ports that we pull into, there we have the gentle, regular, and the active. So the gentle would be if I were traveling with my elderly parents who want to take in some core highlights, but move just at a little bit slower pace. The regular is going to just pick up the pace a little bit, maybe not avoiding some steps, including just a little bit more. And then that active is going to be something like a guided cycling tour. In fact, we have got bicycles on every one of our ships, up to 25, which we use not only for the guided cycling tours, but if you just want to reserve them for a couple of hours and head out in town, you're more than welcome to make those reservations for that. And aside from that, on board the ship, I showed you a few pictures there too, but we've got a gym on board every one of our vessels, everywhere that AMA Waterways sails. So if you want to maintain that active, healthy lifestyle, or if you just want to try and get in the gym as often as you possibly can, we have that option for you. We've got a dedicated fitness instructor on board every one of our sailings. So they're doing morning Pilates, morning yoga, doing some stretches. So all those things that you can experience on board AMA Waterways, we like to give our guests a choice. So once again, there's a reason we've won more awards than any other cruise line. There's it's a cuisine, it's the ashore excursions, it's the drinks that we were talking about also. And the awards that I'm referring to, there's actually a company called Berlitz that goes out and they basically rate not only ocean cruises, but they started doing river cruises about 3 to 4 years ago, and they go on as mystery shoppers. So at no point does anyone ever know when these folks are on board. They go on anonymously, and then they come back and they write their report. So based on these mystery shopping reports, we've won more awards than any other river cruise line. And of our fleet of about 23 ships presently, 10 of our ships have made the top 15 on a list of about 320 river cruise ships. I think that speaks volumes. Anything else?
One other thing I wanted to mention, there's a very prestigious French society that deals with food. And I think you guys, AMA, is the only river cruise line that has that designation. Am I correct?
This is correct. This is La Chaîne de Rôtissière, and it is pretty much, I believe, the world's oldest culinary society. It dates back to 1248. It was started by French royalty, and it really just spoke to the preparation of the food, the presentation of the food, the freshness of the food. It ran for about 400 years, approximately, up until the French Revolution, I believe it was, and then because of its association with royalty, it was pretty much disbanded. It's picked up some other years, but again, it speaks to those things, and you cannot request to even be a part of this. You really just have to be given that designation. And as Zygmunt mentioned, we are the only river cruise line with that designation. Very good point, Zygmunt. Thanks for bringing that up.
I just wanted to mention that this is the 7th in line of our webinars, and the previous 5. If you go on RiverCruiseCenter.com, you'll see right up near the top, you'll be able to click on it and see previous webinars that we did for those particular regions.
Right. And then next week, we have number 8 in our series of 9, and we're actually going to be exploring Vietnam and Cambodia along the Mekong River. This will be next Tuesday, September 8th at 6 p.m. So hopefully you can join that as well. But once again, these are all recorded sessions. So hopefully you'll plan to join us. For whatever reason you're not able to, you will definitely be able to capture this after it's been recorded.
And those of you who love picture taking, the Mekong and Vietnam, Cambodia, some beautiful, beautiful scenery for your photos. It's a fantastic area of photography.
Absolutely. And one thing that I could say from having been to Southeast Asia is that these are truly some of the most hospitable, genuine people that I think you're going to find on the face of the globe. I mean, they are just so nice, very welcoming, very sweet, and it's just a wonderful place to visit. So hope you can join us and learn a bit more about this destination as well. itineraries are 6 days, 5 nights. We've even had a number of guests sign up for a second cruise already. So it's been really good. You know, we've got the plexiglass in all the areas that you would expect it. When you walk in and you're speaking with the person at the concierge desk, in the lounge area, between the separate seating areas, we've included it there. If you've had a chance to go into a restaurant anytime recently, you'd know that when you walk into the restaurant, of course, you're wearing your mask. If you get up to use the restroom or when you're leaving, you wear the mask. But the majority of the time that you're sitting down, you're seated, you don't have to wear the mask. So it's sort of that same atmosphere on board. One thing we didn't mention with our shore excursions is that all of our guests are outfitted with this AudioVox headset, which is something that basically means you don't have to be right next and huddled around your tour guide. You can be 40, 50 feet away, still listening to everything that's being shared as you're off taking some photos, and properly social distancing as well too. So again, the experience has been really well received, and you know, thank God, you know, there's been no cases of anything. We've now been operating this going on 6 weeks, so it's something that we're happy to be able to share with you too. So I thought that was important to mention. I don't see any questions coming in though, Zygmunt, so I think we're probably pretty good with this. But if there's anything that you want to share in closing, this is your opportunity, my friend.
All right. Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much for a well done webinar. I appreciate your participation, and thank you for everyone that's been online listening to us, and look forward to you joining us in the Mekong and Vietnam and Cambodia webinar next week. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jimmy. And thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.